Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nerd Night Roundtable. With me is Sci-Fi Sis Dan and Gorilla's Random Thoughts. How you guys doing?
I'm doing.
I'm still alive and kicking, not dead yet.
No, that's good to hear. Okay, that's on yours.
What?
I was just checking the chat, and the thing that popped up was on Sis Dan's.
Oh,
Yeah, in case people pop up on my cross stream with you too. Just want to say hello, welcome to this cross stream.
Okay, the first thing I want to point out, RFK Jr. will be Health and Human Services Secretary. And to all the liberals around here and probably across the country flipping out about it, calling him a vaccine conspiracy theorist and running him down every way they can, this is your damn fault. If you had a proper primary, he would have been your nominee. Instead, he's on our team, and y'all can go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, well, he was pushed out of the Democrat Party, for what I hear. He was pushed out.
Him and a lot of people, because they had to mess with things to get to the point where the cackling cocksucker got the nomination. They couldn't very well have a primary and have that happen.
Well, time was very limited too. I mean, do primaries actually happen that fast, or was it too late already in the Dem Party to do a campaign?
Oh, they did it late solely to get Kamala in. He could have Biden could have stepped down in January, and they could have had a proper primary in a proper time frame. But they didn't do that because they knew in any type of proper primary election, Kamala would have been blown completely out of the water by even a cardboard cutout of RFK Jr. Hell, she would have lost to a cardboard cutout of either his uncle or his father. They weren't going to let anything interrupt her getting into that nomination.
And what relation does he have with the original JFK? Isn't he his nephew or what?
He is JFK's nephew, RFK's son. He was like 8 years old, 7 years old when his dad and uncle both got taken out. And hello, Phantom Boomer.
Hello, Phantom Boomer.
And Lemon Pie.
Boomer.
Hey, Lemon
Boomer.
Pie.
Hey, Scurvy.
So thanks for stopping by to give us a slice if you Lemon Pie.
That just sounds wrong.
Hey, Scurvy, the next time you see Stone Racket, you should change your name to Apple Pie Moonshine for him. Well, you guys, do you not think that Tulsi Gabbard being named head of the Department of National Intelligence there was just not like, and Matt Gaetz being named AG just the biggest fuck you to the deep state?
Yeah, those are both very, very intentional.
Yeah.
You know,
they named Gabbard as a enemy asset. Not only did Hillary call her a Russian puppet, but the FBI and CIA actually listed her as an enemy asset.
Yeah. Then, yeah, I would like to see RFK head of CIA. Wouldn't that be the biggest? That would be definitely the biggest fuck you.
I'm sure Tulsi's gonna just walk over a file to him during a cabinet meeting.
Yeah. Dear Scurvy says, it does sound wrong when Cynthia and ask for a slice, but it's become his thing to say. There is no going back.
Yeah, I guess at this point.
Well, and he has a lemon pie by his name.
Yeah, but the key thing is it's a he. Just adds that little bit of wrong to it.
Yeah. It only takes that 1%.
Yeah. But for like Matt Gaetz, I hear a lot that he's just a sacrificial lamb to get turned down. But he do a good
No,
job.
they're actually scared of him because they're really pushing that or that how can I say this so it's YouTube friendly?
The
The
trafficking.
whole no, the whole thing that with apparently a 17-year-old and taking her across state lines or something, some stupid thing that he was never charged with, just questioned on. But he was never
Oh
charged with
yeah,
anything.
yeah. The House Ethics Committee, and through that, the FBI actually investigated, and they couldn't find jack shit on.
Yeah.
And they've known that for a year and a half, 2 years now. Because this came up when he ran in the midterm. And they didn't have shit on him then. And they definitely don't have shit on him now.
Yeah.
So I take it since Trump's going to be the next president, the president-elect uses the 2 or 3 months before he takes office as a consolidation when he's going to select his cabinet and his other political allies to help him in office. That's what they use this time for usually.
Yeah, getting all the cabinet positions, the general direction of the administration.
Yeah.
And he's throwing a good chunk of time there for trolling everyone that called you racist, Yahtzee, and everything else.
Yeah, I find it funny how the Dems call Trump a Yahtzee or a fascist, but when it comes to elections in general, they did not elect. Well, you could say they did with Kamala being Biden's VP on the ticket. So in reality, they voted for both of them. But they did not elect the VP for Kamala's pick, like Gorilla's governor. They did not elect him. Tulsi Gabbard. Kamala appointed her, and that's very undemocratic. If it's anything is Yahtzee or fascist, it's the Dems at this point.
Well, yeah, they're the early 20th century, late 19th century guys who like to wear white hoods. They were all members of one party, and it wasn't the Republicans.
Yeah, and some Dems say, "Well, that was 100 years ago, and politics do change." I would say that's acceptable to a certain extent, but then there are racists on both sides of the aisle. There are.
Yeah. Well, we can go something a little bit more closely. The guy who taught Joe Biden everything he knew was the exalted Cyclops of that same organization. Wars in the Middle East will soon end. Trump won't play around there. Oh no, the day after Hezbollah and all those guys, they started suing for peace.
I find it funny how in the past 4 years when a Dem was in charge, the Middle East or our enemies had free reign. Now with the R in charge, they're like, okay, we'll get in line. We'll stop fighting. Where's the peacemaker I signed in this conflict?
Oh, it's not just any R. It's Trump because Trump's kind of crazy. As I said before, he's not the best Republican option out there. He's the Republican nuclear option.
Yeah, and Trump is a businessman, and he can negotiate with other foreign leaders like a businessman does.
Yeah. So it's not a guarantee, but it's a pretty good bet that we'll see both the Israel thing and the Ukraine thing pretty much wrap themselves up before Inauguration Day.
I would say this. I mean, you may call me a appeaser for this saying this, but at this point, Russia will not back down from the Ukraine conflict unless they get the Russian-speaking parts of Ukraine is saying, we want these parts. If you give us these, we'll end the war. We'll stop for about 5 or 10 years, and we're content with that. But if not, we won't stop the war. We'll do skirmish battles then, and not do full-on out war that we did when the Dims were in charge.
Oh yeah, whatever territory they got right now, that's theirs. It's never going back to Ukraine, no matter what anyone desperately wants, whatever they say. NATO doesn't have even if every NATO country directly went in right now, they ain't pushing Russia out of that area. We've been doing our damnedest. There has been more than 10,000 NATO personnel in that country for the last year, and they really haven't done anything.
You know, the main problem is that the war's been going on for going on now for 3 years now, and the Russians have dug in pretty damn well in that front. So you can't really do anything except you have basically overwhelming force to dig them out or push them out. Which, in reality, NATO doesn't want to go full on in on the war because they know that would cause not full on nuclear war, but a minimal exchange between Russia, NATO, and the U.S.
Yeah, and we can go ask Napoleon, Adolf, and pretty much every other schmuck who tried to attack Russia on the defensive, put Russia on a defensive war, and that works all the way up until sometime about November. And then things get a little bit cold, and while you sit there and freeze to death, the Russians just laugh and drink vodka.
It's because they're used to the cold. But then again, the U.S. is pretty vast. We're probably used to the damn cold. So there's more similarities between the U.S. and Russia than we care to admit.
There are similarities, but they got one more little thing. They're used to the suffering. 1,000 years or so, that's pretty much what it's been over there. That's why they have the type of government they do. Freedom and democracy and all of the stuff we take for granted over here in the West works very well if you're rich. Russia has never really been all that wealthy compared to the West.
Yeah, and now
so they've really got used to the suffering.
Well, call me ignorant on this part, but I'm going into Russian politics a little bit, but is this Putin's last official term before he has to choose something else to not have the so-called constitution limit be put on him? Or will he just violate the constitution and make a new amendment saying, no, I can serve as long as I want, and it says here in the Russian constitution?
He doesn't have term limits.
Pretty much the Russian constitution says Vlad gets to rule until he dies, and then after that, we'll figure out what happens. They have fancy stuff like a constitution and parliament and whatnot, but it still ran the same way it was ran under the Soviets and under the Tsars. You have one strong man who controls various oligarchs who control the various parts of Russia, either through direct territorial control or bureaucratic means of control.
Yeah, and I will say this.
That's just how it has to work over there.
Yeah, and I was saying if Putin does not get unalived while in office and he dies of natural causes, I was saying Putin has a good 10, 15 years left. But then after that, if he does pass away, is Russia going to fall into a civil war, sort of? Because there's no successor, or do you think Putin will choose a successor to continue his strongman policy in 10, 15 years' time? I mean, I say if he's as authoritarian or as power-hungry as people say he is, I would say no, because he does not want a rival or a direct competitor that will outright remove him from power even if it is his successor 10, 15 years down the line.
I think 10 or 15 years is a bit much. He is as old as Biden, almost as old as Biden and Trump are. And hey, LDG.
Well,
Hey, Pickles.
you'll be surprised on how long people can live if you have the right health care and the right influence in the world, and Putin has both.
Yeah, but the type of governing style they go through demands strength, and to say he's not exactly going to go through chemotherapy and remain in power.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Well,
Okay.
for what the news or non-biased news outlets, alternative news say, does Putin have cancer, or is he healthy, relatively healthy for a guy his age?
For a guy his age, for a Russian his age, he is extraordinarily healthy. Because if he had like cancer or Alzheimer's or anything like that, they would have been able to replace him in a very, very bloody act of parliament, whatever their parliament is called.
The Puma, you mean?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Either that or make Putin a puppet, in other words, like Biden is.
No, the Russians usually play it more straight up. The strongest leads, and when you're no longer the strongest, your removal from this life is usually very public. Imagine if the Fifth had their own country. Well, not the rule of two Fifths, more the Brotherhood Fifth.
It'll be all backstabby and murderous until some reasonable Sith or the strongest rule. I mean, if I know, well, I joined the dark side, but I'm not full on Sith Lord. I'm more aligned towards the. I don't like the dogmatic Jedi view of it, but nor do I like the constant hypocrisy of the Sith way. I'm more in the middle, and I'm not completely a gray Jedi, but if I forced to choose, I rather more aligned towards the Sith than I do the Jedi. And the gray Jedi, it's too much of a Jedi for me.
Yeah. So more of the Brotherhood era of the Fifth.
Yeah, the Sith problem.
The obvious strongest one is the guy in charge. But when that gap gets a little bit too close for comfort, the next strongest guy makes his move.
I mean, how should I put this? If I was in the Brotherhood of Darkness or the Sith Empire, just give me my own demeanor or territory within the Empire, and I'll be happy. But if you trespass my territory or try to assassinate me, I will send my own assassins after you. I will send my ships to destroy you. If you actually come after me for blood, I will come after for blood in turn, and I will actually annihilate you no matter the cost.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Lemon. We don't have any way to know how healthy or not he is. It's a totalitarian closed regime and relies on propaganda. Yeah, and it also rely on NATO having any type of actual military intelligence.
And hello, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, and some hardcore Sith fans will call me, well, judging by the way I'm describing myself, then you're not a full-on Sith Lord, nor are you a full-on Jedi, then what are you? Well, if anything, I would say I'm more of a gray Sith Lord than a pure-on Sith Lord.
Oh, no, you fit in very well to the Brotherhood of Darkness era, Sith.
Yeah. And
Because
hey,
a
Jim.
lot of them could be appeased by giving their own little fiefdom, and they would swear allegiance to whoever the emperor was. They don't particularly care who, as long as they get their cut.
Exactly. Hey, Gap After Dark. Nice of you to hop on in.
Hey, Gap.
Hey, Gap.
But yeah, out of all the eras of Sith, the Brotherhood of Darkness was actually the most civilized and probably the most well organized for the Sith, not counting Vitiate, and Vitiate was batshit crazy on the same level as Palpatine.
And lemon pie, yes, I do have hate and I do have anger, but I know how to control them just enough to not lose myself, and that's the problem with Sith. If they have too much anger or too much hate in them, they lose control, and that's how they get themselves killed. That and arrogance too.
Was wondering where all these people were. Then I finally figured out it was a shared stream. Like, yeah, Dan has a stream too.
So I take it, Germ, if you were to force to choose between either the Jedi Order or the Sith Order, would you be in the Brotherhood of Darkness era of Sith with me too, or would you be more along the lines of the Sith Empire era, basically the Old Republic era Sith?
Well, if it's that era and it's a choice between the Brotherhood of Darkness and the Jedi of that era, depends who makes me the best offer.
Yeah, well, and that also depends if we will be enemies or allies in that new Sith, Brotherhood of Sith, or will we be arch rivals or enemies, though?
It depends on which one's the most profitable. If you have something you can trade with, maybe you have a world full of Cathar, I may be interested in buying from you. Can trade some military power for a planet full of them.
Yeah, what type of resources do you have willing to trade for that planet besides military assets? Do you have another planet you want to trade off too as well?
Hey, I'm not giving you a whole planet. I just want the slaves.
All right, just the slaves, but not the planet? All right, I'll keep the slaves. But the planet will...
Twi'leks, very, very popular slave races at the time.
The Twi'leks are going to be mine. For obvious reasons.
That's okay. You can keep the tail-headed ones. That's why I offered to take the Cathar off your hands. You don't need both.
Yeah, but then given how Twi'leks look, and I'm going to theorize how large their libido is, one or two is probably going to be my limit for Twi'lek women, probably.
That'd be more than your limit. The lithium crystals, sorry, Gap, no use in Star Wars. Maybe some shiny jewelry, but not very good for a hyperdrive.
Yeah, and for Star Wars, the only main crystals between the Jedi and the Sith are Kyber crystals, and Kyber is the Kyber crystal is what the Jedi use to make their lightsaber or the lightsaber blades. And the Sith, they use synthetic crystals mainly to not be in conflict with the Jedi much when constructing their lightsabers. How about you, Gorilla? From this little conversation me and Jim are having about which faction would you be in, what era in Star Wars would you be in?
I gotta be a Jedi.
Well, will you be a dogmatic Jedi or a reasonable Jedi?
What's the difference?
Dogmatic are so arrogant that they won't listen to anyone else. And reasonable means you're willing to hear out the other side, even though you may not agree with them all the way.
I have absolutely no idea. But you know who you should talk to? Thomas Pot, because he believes that the Empire did nothing wrong.
Well, in Legends, the Empire did nothing wrong. Except spin unwisely, but that's the fate of all large bureaucracies.
Well, that plus the Empire did have a self-destructive tendencies in the military.
Some,
but then again,
Thrawn and Vader corrected for a lot of that.
Yeah, but they only go so well against since they're fighting against the large Imperial war machine that's basically founded on sand, because the Imperial Navy and Army are basically operating on the Sith code option, which is basically kill all your rivals with no allies, only temporary alliances at best. And they're operating on that doctrine. And Vader and Thrawn, they're willing to put aside their differences and work together for a common goal. But beyond that, not really.
And to be fair, they had a lot of common goals. Both of them
but
really disliked this Death Star.
yeah, and I would say this. The Empire's military, there was just a lot of petty infighting just due to petty reasons. It was.
Yeah. Again, very common in an organization that size. Gorilla is Master Jedi Whiskey.
I don't drink whiskey, though.
That's okay. We got him in the 12-step Force program.
Yeah, and Gorilla has a nice blue or green lightsaber to light a cigar with.
I don't know if I trust myself to have the lightsaber that close to my face.
That's
why we give you the training lightsaber.
The proto lightsaber. Proto lightsaber.
Damn it, I missed.
That's why he has the toy lightsaber.
I gotta pass a new name for you now, Gorilla.
Let me get it back. Okay, Master. There we go.
The cheap beer or the good quality beer, Gorilla, though? If you're able to afford it.
When have I ever drank quality beer?
I don't know. I'm not you. I don't live your life. You tell me.
No, he's been on the cheap stuff so long he can't tolerate the good stuff.
Oh.
Yep, definitely cheap beer.
Well, someone has to drink this cheap beer.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Fuck no! Oh, fuck no! I'm not. Okay, I'm not that damn cheap.
Tell me, is that Scotty's favorite beer type up in Canada, or is that, or is it, does he drink another type of beer in Canada?
How about
I don't know what
Guinness? Have you ever had a Guinness, Gorilla?
I don't think so. My grandpa got one directly from the brewery when he was in Ireland.
Well, the Irish are whiskey and rum drinkers. Irish are mainly.
They're beer drinkers
and Guinness. They're alcohol drinkers. They don't really care what method it comes in. It's just as long as it's alcoholic. I was gonna say half of that potato famine wasn't because there was a lot less potatoes. It's just what potatoes they did have, they turned into sour mash. They may starve, but God forbid you take away their whiskey.
Yeah, if you take away their alcohol, then you become an angry Scot and you want to kill for some alcohol.
Well, that's the basic cause and effect of most wars in Irish history. They were okay with the oppression of the English for all those centuries, except the English wouldn't let them drink all they wanted.
All right.
Let's see what else we got.
Any new Star Trek news, possibly? Just to try to change the tack for a second. Maybe you heard some more news on the internet in certain circles besides Section 31, unless that's old news by now.
Section 31 is old news by now. That still has less than 100% chance of being real. because the timing of it, especially, is really suspicious to me. Scheduled
And then-
right after the end of all the Christmas gift memberships for Paramount Plus.
And then there's Starfleet Academy, let's get, that they did a promotion for, which is, well, if Paramount is really that flat broke, they probably won't do it. It's probably just to spread Star Trek news around.
Yeah. When the only actor talking about it is Robert Picardo, there's something wrong.
But then again,
No one else mentions anything about it for some reason.
yeah, but then again, given how Robert Picardo is somewhat of a has-been actor by now, he hasn't been in anything for over a decade, probably, at least mainstream.
He was retired for a while.
He's up for any money, basically.
He was semi-retired when they ended Voyager, and then he was a nice, calm guy, and then all of a sudden, maybe 6 months ago, 3 months ago, he started having all these wacko opinions and talking up the new Trek stuff.
Well, I would say this: his characters he played in Stargate and Stargate Atlantis, he was not semi-retired in those, and he was a good character. Well, in SG-1, man, he was a good character to love to hate. In Atlantis, the last season, he was a good leader for the Atlantis expedition because he mellowed out.
But he was a part-timer in that.
So he was still semi-retired then, or not?
Yeah, he wasn't doing a full year-round schedule at that point. He'd show up on Stargate and Stargate Atlantis, but he is in maybe half the episodes and not a everyday role like he was on Voyager. So he starts slowly stepping back after Voyager. He knew he'd done his big thing, and he is basically that's what was going to carry him on through the rest of his years. That was his legacy.
Yeah, and I
So
have
he
watched
just
a
did
few,
projects here and there.
and I have watched a video about him on Gate World, that YouTube channel, where they did a review on him while he came out of retirement. He said the main reason was due to the 2008 financial crisis, that where a lot of people lost their own money, and he either he lost a lot of money and he forced him to come out of semi-retirement, and he got Stargate roles that way, or other TV show roles like that to try to make some more money back off of the bad investments he made in the 2008 crash.
Yeah, that hurt, and the whole COVID thing didn't do great for his financial situation either. But didn't do great for anyone's financial situation.
And the economy has not yet fully recovered, or hasn't recovered at all.
You can't really believe the numbers that's out there. On paper, we're doing better than ever, but in reality, no one actually buys that crap. Especially when a loaf of bread is $3.50 for the cheapo brand.
Yeah, well, for what I say, it doesn't feel great economy-wise wherever you are, especially where I guess me and you are, Germ, mainly. If I feel like I'm in a damn recession, or jobs are hard to come by where I am, or maybe I just lack the initiative to go all the way to try to find a full-time job.
They're out there if you really, really want to find one, but even if you're earning quite a bit, it's not exactly gonna get you all the way there unless you have 2 or 3 people bringing home a paycheck. At least on the lower end. If you work for like Microsoft, Google, or one of these huge mega thing, and you're pulling down a solid 6 figures, and I mean more than just like 100, 125, you can do okay, but you have to be earning, as I said, like more than 125, ideally around 200.
I do have a genuine question for both of you. I mean, what's causing all this hardship? Is it all the money printing that they're doing in the government that's causing this financial feeling that we have, or is it just certain things that causes us to feel this way? I mean, both socially and financially here. What's causing it? All the inflation or money printing that's going on, or is it all other things?
Well, let's see. The government needed 25 million there to see what would happen if you put an iguana on a treadmill. Let's see. It needed how much was it? Was it to feed a parrot cocaine to see how horny it got?
I believe that was about $250,000.
$250,000 there. Let's see. You needed 10 million for gender studies in Pakistan. Let's see. Colombia needed a new drug boat. Oh,
$400 million to study HIV in transgender monkeys.
Oh, yay.
And apparently $3 million to see guinea pigs jacked up on steroids and fight it out.
I would love to see that, actually. I would love to see that.
And let's see. You also needed we needed to send a bunch of money to Ukraine and Israel so they could go blow up a bunch of people.
And how that proportions out, I can't understand. We're giving like 8-1 Ukraine over Israel.
Well, one's lobbing Nerf rockets at them. Another one actually has a military.
Yeah,
I suppose only one of them's facilitating a bit of blowback toward the higher ups in the government.
I would say it's a majority of factors that why people are causing hurt financially and financially. It's because of the inflation, all the rapid money printing, and here comes my nationalist side coming out. But due to all the extra immigrant work population that's coming in, I mean, certain viewers may call that racist, but it's not. It's a matter of fact. All the immigrants are taking. Well, we actually don't want the jobs because they're too dirty or nasty for us by default. But if there are jobs out there that we want, sadly we're not getting them because the immigrants that actually put in the work to go for a more skilled job, they get it first than we do nowadays.
Yeah, and they're sort of hard to track because it's not that they're shirking on taxes and everything. They are technically helping the GDP, but the GDP is shit. The GDP does not reflect how well off the people are. It just reflects how well off the corporate sector is and how much money the government is able to take in and spend on itself. Because the main thing what they do is they use stolen social security numbers. So they'll go about paying their taxes and appearing to be a normal citizen and everything. It's just they're using fraudulent documents to do that.
Yeah, well, this may be my so-called extremist side showing up. Hey, but look, just about how screwed we are, why just either... Well, I'm going to say something that may get you on a watch list if I say this. But if you allow it, I'll say it.
I'm a conservative that lives in a blue state. I'm already on several lists.
All right, then I say, like, just about how we all feel. Why just burn down the entire system that's causing all this overwhelming expenditures to make us actually become relatively financially more comfortable instead of being so drained or like living more paycheck to paycheck now?
Well, that's why we went with the nuclear option. The nuclear option takes office, I believe it's the 20th or 21st of January.
Yeah, but the question is, how much will he maintain his promises, though? Because, well, politicians do lie, and how much of that will be in Trump's interest to keep it intact, though?
Let's just say his life expectancy is already at the high end for American male. So what does he give a fuck? Might as well go out with a bang. Make everybody cheer as the system collapses and let the next generation rebuild it.
Heck,
But
and that's
personally,
how.
I'd let the bureaucracy lie in a pile of ashes. We don't need the bureaucracy.
And heck, that's what most young people say, or people actually study the subject. Like, by all this money printing and all this inflation, the ones that are getting richer off this, they're putting the burden on us. And from what certain channels I watch, the estimated burden for each new generation that's coming up is $600,000. We're gonna be in the hole just by default, and whether you be born or already have a job. That's a huge weight on your damn shoulders. That much in debt, even though you haven't not done anything in your life.
Yep. And the government keeps spending the way they're spending. Everyone in America will be born $1 million in debt by the time, say, by the time Gorilla's kid gets to be of legal voting age. The younger one, not the older one. Luckily.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to be pretty quick. If something doesn't change real quick, we're all completely fucked.
Yeah, and to not have, I mean, now my left winger side's coming out. We need a total different type of revolutionary change to happen in order to just change the system drastically.
Yeah, personally, the Department of Education is a good place to start going. They've already said that that's on the chopping block. Right now, since we got a good lineup going and hopefully the conservative side can keep their shit together and hold on to the White House for maybe a generation. Right now is the perfect time to start phasing out Social Security. Don't take away from the old people right now, but someone my age, your age, Gorilla's age, none of us should ever see $1 in Social Security.
And LDG.
Well, I paid taxes on it.
Oh, and LDG.
Yeah, but you're paying taxes for your fucking parents.
Oh, and LDG.
As they pay taxes for their parents. Because they literally started paying that out 10 minutes after they started the program.
Yeah. And LDG, I have learned the truth a long time ago. I learned pretty quick that no matter what I do, we're all screwed to a certain extent. I know I'm screwed. I am.
Well, yeah, we're all screwed because we're all just mortal.
Yeah,
there are certain things you can do, but that's not in this earthly realm.
Yeah, and I would say this. I try not to get involved in things, but as an outsider mainly to everything, I see the ugly truth, even as an outsider. Like, all this you're going through, and yet you don't get a damn thing or anything. Like, what's the point then of being part of this group, even though you're not getting a damn thing out of it? Even as an outsider to a certain group, I see that on the inside. Most of the time, I do.
Then the point is to find another group. Or change the group you're in. That's why history is a long time. Plenty of time to change stuff. Sun won't burn out for another maybe 500 million years.
Yeah, but by that time we'll all be dead unless we all become digital beings or robotic beings.
Yeah, by that time humans would all be dead or replaced by the next stage of evolution.
To which, by what's looking at, it's either going to be the chimpanzees or gorillas, like what gorilla is, or it's going to be synthetic humans or synthetic life forms.
I would think something more akin to, think of first ones in Babylon 5.
That's being a two-way optimistic, because from what scientists say, we only use, well, there's a common trope that we only use 10% of our brains. Some people, they do. But for what
everyone uses 100% of their brains.
Yes. To which, if you will go off by the first ones in Babylon 5, that I'm going to theorize here, that's probably a human being using so-called 100% of their brain power to become something like that, and they actually develop certain mental faculties and all that.
Yeah, but that whole oh, you only use 7% of your brain. That's a bad translation based on a bad quote from a German scientist. We had only mapped out 7% of the human brain. 100% of the brain is used. Not all of it for conscious thought and computation, but every last part of the human brain is in use for its proper function. You can't just magically juice it up to make every cell cognitive processing.
Now, I do have a question, or what are the first ones about Babylon 5? I mean, I have seen clips of them, like, they say they're future humans, but if they're future humans, then what
They're
sort of
not
theorizing
future
here?
humans.
Well, if that's how humans are going to end up, how do you think humans will end up like the first ones? If that's the case,
Through evolution, just biology changes and grows and expands, and eventually it becomes something more than it is.
yeah. But for us to become energy-like beings, how does that work? I mean, I don't see that happening.
It does take quite a while, but we are a good portion of energy right now. Think of all your neural conductivity.
I would say the ancients were something like to what the ancients are in Stargate too. When they ascend it to a higher plane of existence.
Yeah, that's close. Just without the whole interdimensional part.
And I have to say, did Stargate probably borrow that from Babylon 5, or do you think they came up with that on their own?
They borrowed it from Babylon 5, from Buddhism, and a little bit here, a little bit everywhere else. You can show respect for all creatures of the earth, or we can bury you 6 feet beneath the earth. And to a point, there are creatures on this planet that are just not really here for any purpose anymore. Certain reptiles, insects, Democrats. But in the large part, I think you're right, LDG.
Yeah, in death, everyone is equal. That's why death comes for everyone and everything.
Well, yeah, that's where the only time people are meant to be equal. That whole all men are created equal thing was, well, it is propaganda. There are always going to be differences in people and the way they're born, be it social placement, be it intelligence, physical ability, 100 dozen different other categories. It's only at the end, when everything's done, is when you're all really equal. It is buzzing. I'll be right back.
Alrighty. Let's see. Did we already read this one? You can show
Yes,
respect
we
to all
did.
creators on Earth, where we can bury. Oh yeah. I'm still wondering. I'm wondering who he's gonna pick for the Secretary of State there, though.
Well, he has to find a Trump values loyalty. He has to find someone that's loyal but also skilled too, though. Like, who's fiercely loyal to Trump and also skilled too, though?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Rand Paul's not going to get picked. Well, he did pick that. He did pick that one lady for. I wonder if he, or he could probably go with another woman too.
Well, he already has two women in his cabinet. One is in chief of staff. The other one is um the intelligence department. Is what you guys said she's in.
Who? Which one?
Tulsi Gabbard, the intelligence department.
Department of National Intelligence. Then he had some lady as chief of staff. I can't remember her name.
And I do have to say this for all you guys on the left side of the spectrum calling Trump a sexist. Really, he has two women in his cabinet. You call that being sexist?
Hey, well, look at me. I got called a woman hater just for voting for the guy. So, there's that. So, I'm not sure what else Germ had planned for tonight.
He wants to play it by ear, sort of. Well,
Yeah.
let's see here.
Okay, I'm back.
Alrighty.
The thing was buzzing for a phone call. I was halfway across the room. I could barely hear it with these on.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I've been hearing some Star Wars news. The Daisy Ridley characters. The rumors going on. She's getting her own trilogy now. She's gonna play the Obi-Wan character. What a joyous occasion for a character that barely has any personality or character traits to her.
Yeah, I saw what claimed to be a real trailer, but more than likely fake. Something floating around on YouTube. I mean, it's pretty good for a fake.
Yeah, and I do. It's probably gonna be. Is it the actress for, or was it just the script and the direction she got in those sequel movies that made her just a bland actress, basically? Or what? Or is she generally an okay to good actress, though? The actress that plays her.
Well, she's not too bad, not too good. But the acting really wasn't the problem at all in that trilogy. That was the production and the writing.
Yeah, I hate the sequel trilogy with a burning passion. I do. To me, it's non-canon.
Yeah, it's non-canon to everybody except for Disney.
Yeah, and KK's doubling down on everything nowadays and tripling down on things now.
Well, at this point, she's surprised she hasn't been completely fired or given the Italian goodbye.
Well, if they renew her contract for another, I don't know how many years the contract is for an executive at Lucasfilm or Disney, she's probably gonna die in office then, in her position.
Unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, she's like, over my cold, dead hands.
You get the right guy in charge at Disney, he'll be happy to oblige.
Well, there's Bob Iger, but Bob Iger and KK are basically on the same page.
Yeah. We just need a nice, solid Italian guy with certain connections, and he introduces his cousin to the boardroom, and everything's nice and cleaned up, just like it gets done on the docks. Matter of fact, the docks aren't too far away, so I'm sure they can just load it up in the same place the Union loads up their inconvenient people.
Yeah, I do have to say, the Disney's bad reputation, especially how they treated their fan bases and audiences that actually gave them all that money, it's well earned. Definitely is.
Yeah.
I guess for the past at least 6 years, they were like that, and now they earned every ounce of ridicule and reputation destroying that they do.
Oh, they've been like that for more than going on 10, 15 years now.
Well, when it really showed, in other words, in the true public light, in other words.
Oh, yeah. Because there's always something not quite right with Disney, because those whole rumors about the mouse being a member of the National Socialist Party weren't all because of Walt's brother being an official in it.
Well, you have to remember, too, back in those days, everyone was, oh boy, anti-Semitic to a certain extent, to a certain religious group.
Yeah, but they had a very special place for anti-Semitism in their programming. But that does go to figure, since a lot of their stuff was adapted from old German fairy tales. And even back then, the Germans weren't big fans of anyone of that religious group.
Yeah, given how, from what I hear, Snow White was a folklore story, either from England or from Germany, and Pinocchio was a Italian folklore, wasn't it?
I believe so. But Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Snow White, all of that stuff, pretty much that center part of Europe, the old Holy Roman Empire area, they just pick and choose like Grimm fairy tales and other stories throughout the area, and just, oh yeah, we're going to put a cartoon to this and copyright it.
Yeah, well, in that case, at least Disney had the class to take out the horrifying parts of those stories to make it more, so-called child-friendly, in other words.
Oh yeah, they're evil, but they're not stupid. I think people dislike what they do now. Imagine if they left the Little Mermaid finishing the way this actual storytell does.
Or she eats the prince, in other words?
Does this say there are no real survivors? The prince, Ariel, the witch, there ain't no one getting out of that on top. Which actually is sort of a trend in German fairy tales.
What was
people
the point
at best, people survive but are horribly broken.
What was the point of those stories anyway?
Pretty much teach your children life sucks, but you got to go on, so suck it up, Buttercup.
I take it you've read all those? That's why you're more in depth with this than I am?
It's been a couple decades, but they do explain a lot of German psychology and philosophy.
Yeah, the Germans are pretty whacked in the head when it comes to certain things. They're more dark than what the English or Americans are, but we could get pretty dark ourselves too, though.
Yeah, but English and American humor, dark humor, are a little bit different. There's always that little gleam of, yeah, we're screwed, but we're going to be happy that everything's going to hell. We won't let it get us down. The German method is to pretty much kill all hope, light, and joy in the universe.
Just like the modern left-wing movement is doing, huh?
Pretty much.
Oh, and fun fact, Karl Marx was actually a German, so you could say that this is the German way of thinking that's crushing the U.S. Political system.
Yep. Marxism and communism definitely have hallmarks of German psychology in it. Anything good and decent and bright in the world, anything of hope and prosperity must be eliminated as a concept. For some reason, they believe suffering is the natural way of the universe, and they desperately want the natural way of the universe to be upheld.
And people wonder why I'm such a pessimist, even though I try to be an optimist most of the time, but my experience makes me a pessimist, though.
I can't really be a pessimist. I'm not German.
But then again, you hear me say this oxymoron term, you probably know where I'm going with this. I'm a pessimistic optimist, and you call that being a realist.
Yeah, to a point, that's right.
I mean, how should I put this? I see the negative in life, but then when I also see after it happens, I make fun of it, or I take a crack at it to try to look. You got fired? Oh well. At least you got plenty of time to do something else.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good way to look at it. See if there's anything else on trending that's worth looking at.
Well, from what I hear in the YouTube community, especially once they follow the Stargate news, Amazon and other rights holders are still trying to make a Stargate reboot or Stargate continuation series. At this rate, it's not going to happen, judging by what's happening at Amazon. They've been saying that for over 5+ years now, and at this rate, it's not going to happen.
It'll happen eventually. It's just going to take a little more time. Even in the time frame that they originally bought MGM, you weren't going to see even an announcement until probably mid to late 2025, likely early to mid 2026. That was the most optimistic timeline.
Yeah, well, right now I would say right now my hope is fleeing the Stargate stuff right now, because it's taking so damn long for it to come out.
I think that was people wanted to rush when it originally happened, but I think it was never going to be as fast as people were thinking. I'm still on to the end of next year.
I mean, how should I put this? People say Stargate Origins was a Stargate show. I would say, to a point it was, but the actual real Stargate show, if people count Stargate Universe as a show, was in 2011 or 2012 when that came out. That's 12 years, and that's a pretty large gap. It is.
Yeah, but you can't judge it off of that time frame. Judge it off of when Amazon bought it out. And Gap Stargate, I hear you, Dan, but I don't think it's the right time for Stargate right now. Yeah, probably not. I was thinking maybe they'll have something by 2027, which should be the 30th anniversary of SG-1. Yeah, that's probably when you see it premiere. Maybe a year or so before, you'll hear an announcement and start hearing rumblings of it. But 27 is probably when it's going to premiere.
And I would say this, if I want to be a real depressing pessimist, I would say if all this woke shit is going out the window, I would say it's probably not gonna last. It's probably gonna last for another 5 or 10 years. And if you will go by off that time frame, because Stargate is true, it delves into some darker things, but it's more about an optimistic viewpoint about humanity. And right now, all this woke and political bullshit in Hollywood or in the entertainment industry, I would say Stargate has at least another 10 or more years before they actually make a real Stargate show that's actually shows the best of humanity and delves into darker themes. But I would say, man, I hope not.
Don't undercount the ability of popular opinion to swift away change. I think this whole woke stuff only has a few more years left. I think that 2027 timeline is just about right.
Yeah, but the real question is, after Trump, will the woke have a resurgence, or will it die out completely if the R's win again in 2028?
Oh, woke isn't surviving MAGA. Gonna dig a nice double deep grave for it, drop woke in, piss on the grave, and then shove concrete on top. My opinion, science fiction isn't the end thing right now. That's another reason. Yeah, science fiction isn't big right now because, quite frankly, hope isn't big right now. End thing. But once you get everyone's attitude and mood more positive, looking toward the future, I think there's going to be a bit of a swing, and sci-fi is going to come back.
Yeah, we're entering a dark age of science fiction. Because even if sci-fi is still around, it's all woke garbage or political shit nowadays. That's a dark age, I call it.
Well, we're practically in a dark age for everything right now. If it wasn't for Elon sending up those rockets, space travel would be a lost technology for the U.S.
Yeah, well, if the sinkhole NASA goes by anything, Mars is a good 40 years away.
Screw NASA. They sent up 2 astronauts and they can't get them down without asking Elon for help.
Either that or another business. Was it? I'm not sure. I heard the news. Which company has that transportation capsule that always breaks down?
That's a Boeing.
Mm.
And they've already abandoned bringing them home on that thing. They said they can't bring them home alive on that thing. If it makes it through the atmosphere, it's just going to be a fancy coffin.
I just hope for the astronauts up there, they're keeping up a good workout regimen, because in space, when there's no gravity, your muscles die out or they atrophy a lot. I hope they're getting enough workout to maintain their muscle mass, roughly.
Yeah, they're not in any real danger of setting any records of time in space, so they should be okay on that end. And they could get plenty of stuff delivered. It's just they can't get a ride back.
And
which should be rather embarrassing for NASA.
Yeah, now all that the space station needs is a rotation to spin itself so damn fast that causes gravity to appear on the station, and there you go. The gravity problem is solved.
Oh, that's on ISS 2.0. They got a lot of plans for ISS 2.0, except for how to pay for it, when they're going to build it, or how they're going to build it.
You know, I'm always hoping that we'll have some type of gravity technology that Star Trek has, like the artificial gravity plating, however you do that stuff. I hope we have that type of stuff instead of just a whole bunch of rotating stations or all that. I mean, I get it. It makes sort of sense, but I hope that, because if I spin, I may not feel it, but if I am a spinning around capsule, And if I know it, I will be sick to my stomach. I hope we have some type of gravity technology similar to Star Trek or other sci-fi gravity technology like that.
That would be ideal, yeah. But I think for the first few generations of space travel, you're going to be stuck with the large rotation section like they have in Babylon 5. And that's the ideal. We might just end up having people float around in those things, and that ain't going to work out too well.
Because then you get a new species of human who barely has any muscle mass and does have to live in space. So what do you get then?
Something very disgusting.
Let's see. I said Stargate. Got here for some information. Let's see here. Yeah, they're trying to do a Babylon 5 reboot too, for what I hear on certain channels on YouTube.
Yeah, they've been trying to do that for a couple years. J. Michael has the rights again, but I don't think he can get backing so easily, and apparently people aren't too eager to work with him on that project. You got the cast, what's left of the cast, who would love to be a part of it, but like Warner Brothers isn't too high on the idea. Not a lot of people are eager to actually write for the project or act in the project. It'll probably get done, but unfortunately, it's probably going to have to wait for J. Michael to be out of the picture.
I do have a question for the different sci-fi TV show or the sci-fi TV shows that appeared in the 60s. Then I guess the golden age of sci-fi was in the 80s and 90s, and then finished off in the mid 2000s. I'm gonna get somewhat political here now, but were most of the shows generally left-leaning or left-wing in nature, or were there some right of center or right-wing stuff in sci-fi shows too? Because from what I hear from certain YouTubers or authors, sci-fi is a good avenue to do very religiously themed stuff too, since the right has lost the culture war when it comes to things, and then the only area they have basically was sci-fi to do their own culture thing.
Well, the right never really did lose the culture war. That sci-fi is naturally a vehicle for more liberal ideology and propaganda. That's just projection onto Star Trek, because Star Trek was always leaning toward the left on everything. But that's only because Star Trek was so popular that opinion got popular. Sci-fi can be used for left, right, any type of idea you want. Because just look at something like Starship Trooper. Very illiberal.
Yeah, well, my point was my point is if Star Trek is the left wing's sci-fi wet dream, then what is Babylon 5 somewhat similar to that, or is that Babylon 5 more like a somewhat more centristic conservative viewpoint of the humanity then?
Well, Babylon 5 is a more realistic view, more of a reflection of what we actually have or had in the 90s. More right-wing ideal. I'm not sure if I can really name a huge franchise that would be more right-leaning. Most of them are very centrist, though.
Yeah, like Stargate. It is
to say like, yeah, Stargate was supposed to be set in the real world.
I mean, Stargate does have its own bias. I would say it's mainly in the center but it does lean more towards liberal policies. If you're forced to choose, put a gun to its head saying, true, you're more centrist than everything, but a centrist can only go so far until they have to choose a side eventually. And I would say Stargate's more on the center left to center position Stargate is on.
Yeah, it'd be more center because that's the way things were in the 90s at the time. And Raw was pretty libertarian in his outlook.
Yeah, but from what I
Yeah,
hear,
because everyone else was property. He was the only thinking sentient person.
yeah, but from what I hear, he became more right wing in his beliefs the older he got, the more time went by.
Raw really didn't have time to have much character development, having blown up so early in the franchise. Raw blows up about 72 minutes into the franchise in the movie. Is someone irrigating their sinuses? You okay there, Gorilla?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why am I coming off as something?
It sounds like you have a sinus infection.
I'm smoking.
He's smoking either, or he's getting so sleepy from getting off work. But then again, is quality control really a hard job, or is it a pretty easy job?
Well, I can tell you, I got the most hated job in the company, in any company.
But still, is it a pretty easy job, or do you come home exhausted every day for barely doing anything at work, or do you do a lot at work?
I sit at a table all day unless I'm running the shaker.
It's more responsible than hard work. And if anything bad happens, quality is the first guy they come looking at to blame.
You probably get a lot of shit at work related to given your job position. So, well, I'm trying to balance ideas in my head of what we can bring up, but right now I'm running out of ideas.
Well, I'm gonna have to get going here pretty soon because I want to shower before my stream.
Oh yeah, you're coming up pretty quickly, aren't you?
Yeah.
And what is it tonight?
I haven't decided yet.
I thought you were doing those Fantastic Beasts movies.
No, not tonight. I'm doing a cigar lounge.
Okay.
Or if you want to do a movie night, just do the last movie of Chucky.
Everybody said they're tired of them.
Yeah, those last few Chucky movies are really... they're not worth watching at all.
Yeah, from what I hear, the TV show is mediocre to terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yes, and especially, I gotta say this, whichever one had the transgender doll, that was just god-awful.
Yeah, that was Curse of Chucky, I believe.
No, it's Seed of Chucky.
Okay.
Yeah, and from what I hear, they brought back that damn idea in the Chucky TV show. Wonderful. Oh, and Gab After Dark has a witty comment for Gorilla if you want to pull it up for him.
What?
Go shower, girl. I can smell you halfway across the country.
Here, want me to add to that smell? I can fart here. I'll wave in the direction of Georgia.
Yeah, but then you'll make us hear just a big wet fart then over the mic.
Company I worked at pulled tech support guys in QC for a while. They rejected all sorts of stuff. They were pulled off of it. Yeah, a lot of people really don't understand about with quality is there's what's on paper, then there's what's real. And
Yeah.
technical guys, be it tech support, engineers and stuff like that, they're really not good at that.
Hey, Jeremy, you have a good night there. I'm gonna go shower here.
Yeah, we'll
Gorilla,
be wrapping up here in a second.
We'll see you.
Gorilla,
See ya.
before you finish, what time is your stream at?
9:15.
Which is 7:15 our time.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be wrapped up by then.
All right. See ya.
Yeah.
See you, Gorilla. So, Germ, do you have any more subjects to talk about? Because right now I'm drawing blanks, unless you want to dive into a certain Star Trek idea or Star Wars idea or theory or whatever you want to do. Because right now I'm running out of ideas in my head right now on news or any subject.
I think we're gonna call it there. My voice is kind of straining to its limit right now.
Well, judging on what the topic Gorilla does in his live stream, will you pop up on the panel?
Yeah, I'll get this taken care of in the next hour. Go ahead and plug yourself, Dan.
All right. To all your panelists and viewers that don't know me or know me, Sci-Fi Sit Down, I usually cover different sci-fi TV shows or movies. I do crossover ideas with Germ and Gorilla usually. I do have crossover ideas on different universes on my YouTube channel too. Just type in my avatar name and that's underneath my avatar, Sci-Fi Sit Down. Hopefully my channel will come up for you guys. You can scroll down my channel and pick any sci-fi topic list you want. Hopefully you guys like it. I do my Transformers Prime watch parties on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific time. I do my live streams on Saturdays between 2 and 4 p.m. Pacific time. And this coming Saturday will be my Season 2 finale on my Season 2 live stream. After that, I will take a break after my live streams. And then I try to upload a new YouTube video towards the end of each week or at the beginning of next week to entertain you guys. Every new watch minute, watch hour encourages me to make more content for you guys. And hopefully make some more money besides my werewolf job. Beyond that, I'll turn it over to Resolute Germ to give his quick promotion because I know he has to get something to drink for his throat.
Okay. Go check out Dan's stream tomorrow. Girl will be on later tonight in just under an hour. We'll be back on this channel Saturday morning for Saturday morning cartoons. Polls up right now for that. Way ahead at the moment. Surprisingly to me, King Kong, the animated series, which means most of you know what Sam and Max and Secrets of Nymph 2 is, and well, obviously those weren't going to get votes from anyone who knows what they are. But then we have Sci-Fi Cinema next week on Tuesday, Cleopatra 2525 and Andromeda. Then hopefully I'll have another project done next week as well.
All right. Good night, everyone.
And good night, everyone. See you later, everybody. Take care.